Tony, when you got started with Oyster, what was the opening in the market that you saw?
Yeah. So the opportunity I saw was that you had the challenge of hiring somebody in another country was extremely challenging. You had to overcome. It was like climbing Mount Everest. Was risky. Was opaque. You had to set up entities, hire lawyer, accountant, payroll providers in all these countries. And after you do so, you fail to deliver on a great employee experience. So the opportunity we saw is applying software to make hiring somebody on the other side of the world as easy as hiring locally. And by doing so, drop the barrier to entry dramatically for global hiring and create a new category of global employment that actually we're coining global employment platforms. And I've done that in my previous company. In our previous company, I started a company called Nexmo, where we set up a simple API in front of a globally diverse and regulated telecom industry. And what we've done is we dropped the barrier to entry for innovation, and we had millions of developers coming in and adopting a new technology that wasn't possible before.
When you set out to solve this problem, like offer payroll services around the globe, did you start with select countries, or did you start with like the whole world in mind from the get go?
Yeah, so our customers come to us because they are tapping into the global talent pool. They are here to hire the best talent no matter where they are. So it didn't make sense for us to start by focusing on a narrow number of countries because one of the buyer purchasing criteria was I want a platform that covers the whole world and not worry about not being able to hire that person. That's why when we started the business, we built what we call a hybrid infrastructure, where we had to work with local partners in countries where we didn't have our own infrastructure, and gradually evolve and build our own infrastructure over time. And we also had to work with partners because when I started the company in January 2020, very quickly the world went into lockdown, and you couldn't even talk to governments in many countries. They were just, guys, well, you have to wait until we figure out when we're going to reopen, and so we had to really fall back on this partner network that we've created around the world, and eventually over time we moved to our own infrastructure.
Yeah, so you started the company just right when the pandemic hit. So you started the company in January. A few months later, you raised your seed round of about $4 million. Was your product already out in the market at that time?
No, we raised our seed round 4 weeks after we started the company in February. Actually, we announced it a bit later,
Uh-huh.
and all we had was an investment memo, an 11 long page document that I spent the last few months of 2019 writing after talking to industry experts, after talking to customers, after talking to competitors, and and um, that's all we had. But then when the world went into lockdown, we realized we had to move really, really fast. So we started by building this employment infrastructure in 180 countries. Start coding, so we start building the minimum viable experience that makes global hiring as easy as local hiring, and we built a fully distributed team. At the end of 2020, we were 20 people. Last year, we ended up at 350 people, so we moved really, really fast in building the organization. And in just in few months after we were in business, we achieved product market fit because the demand for what we're trying to achieve, global hiring, was actually so high that we very quickly were able to find a product market fit.
So usually in the early days, companies, in the product market fit finding, the marketing and sales aspect is the hardest part. whereas like where are the customers that want whatever we're selling. So for you guys, it was like suddenly everybody wanted what you had to offer. Is that how it was, more or less? Or
It was exactly that, and then that opened up a whole new problems that typical company don't go through, which is operational scalability. How can you every week, every month, double your ability to employ people in more and more new countries? I mean, the level of complexities. I mean, if you thought global payment was complex, think about global employment. I mean, global employment it has payment in it because you have to pay people, but it has also payroll. You have to pay them accurately. But it has global compliance. You have to find the right level of contracts, employment contracts that is fair, that is safe for these employees. And there's also benefits, and every country is different. In France, you better give them a restaurant ticket, or in the UK, you better give them a dental insurance, and so on and so forth. So the complexity that we're solving with software is very, very high, and that's one of the reasons why uh, this category, global employment platform, is so valuable.
tell me more about that internally, those recruitment processes that you had to quickly set up. So hiring, finding talent, and also the whole vetting process is a pain for a lot of companies. So how did you guys solve it? What made you, what did you do to hire so many people so fast?
Yeah, so Oyster is a hiring machine. I'm probably one of the only CEOs in technology that I'm telling my team to hire more slowly, because we are receiving over 10,000 application a month. For a company that is 2 years old, that's unprecedented. So we've built this amazing employee brand that is directly connected to our identity as mission driven, human centric, diverse, and globally distributed organization. Um, so not only we've built that uh, organization that is human centric, diverse, and globally distributed, but we've also made it known in the market. We through social media, we very often share how does it like to work here, and we publicly open our approach to work. If you go to our website, you see how we work together, document that explain how this company operates, how we adopt this asynchronous way of collaboration and communication. How do we care about people's well-being? How do we create an environment that people feel comfortable and safe to do an amazing work, and that attracts what that's what people want. That's the new way of working. We are building more than a company. We're building a movement around advancing what work should be, and that's why we have such an amazing employer brand and volume that we receive for such a young company.
When I look at your marketing narrative, the stories that you guys put out, using your social media and other channels, which is of course all about the world going remote. The top 1% talent is not in the city where you happen to, be. But that narrative is not too different from the story your competitors are telling, Deal and other companies in the space. So how do you think about these things? Like, is the market growing so much faster than the business that you can still push the category as opposed to pushing your business? Or how do you reconcile those two things?
Yeah, I mean, definitely our mission to make the world a more equal place is not our mission; it's the world mission. So we're very happy when other competitors in our space adopt a similar narrative to Oyster. We believe this is a mission win to have other competitors saying, "Well, we are also here to make the world a better place." And so we're very glad that that's happening now, from a B2B marketing standpoint and B2B sales standpoint. Obviously, there is a more specific reason why the customer would pick a vendor A versus a vendor B. But overall, from a category narrative standpoint, everybody is welcome to share our mission.
So tell me more about that differentiation. So how are you thinking about why somebody should go with you as opposed to somebody else?
Yeah, so there's two ways of looking at this. One is what the customer want today. So we are very data driven in terms of capturing what we call these buyer purchasing criteria. So at the moment of the purchase time, we want to ask the customer what is important to you to pick vendor A versus vendor B and position ourselves to be the de facto winner of that deal. But that's not enough, right? That's like if Henry Ford went and asked a customer what they wanted, then you would get a faster horse. What we're also trying to do here is to change what employment is and frame our customer perception of what global employment should be, so we can achieve our mission. So essentially, what we're trying to achieve is to create a more equal, more safer global employment than before. Because before Oyster, if you think about it, companies when they hired abroad, they either hired people as contractor and didn't give them the safety and the fairness of an employment contract, or they hired them through their local entity, which is didn't give them this amazing experience that they need. If you're going to hire Mary in Athens today, this amazing software developer, well, she doesn't. What she needs is a great employment contract in Greece and a great local benefit that's relevant for her in Greece. So what we're trying to say, what we're trying to do is to frame our customer mind to be more human centric, to be able to provide Mary a better employment experience than they would on their own. And that's what we want to do. We want to actually create a new model of employment that is global, that is more fair, that is more safe for workers around the world.
So if I'm a B2B SaaS CEO and I'm looking for a solution like Oyster, and so I'm looking at Oyster, I'm looking at Deal and maybe Remote.com and other players, who how are you trying to win the business over? Because the solution is similar. Are you actively positioning yourself differently from the other players in the market, or what are you guys doing?
Yeah. So if you think about it, what our customer wants and we provide them that is very unique to Oyster is a combination of two things. One is the scale for the HR team sitting in headquarters and hiring in 5, 10 different countries. And that obviously we use software to do so. You can achieve that with a few clicks on our website. Actually, last year we were able to break the record of less than 6 hours from the moment the HR person submitted the hire to the moment the employee is ready to work. And we expect this to go down to 1 hour this year. But at the same time, the second dimension of value is the personalization of the employment experience to the local employee in that market, to Mary in Greece, let's say, because Mary doesn't want a generic employment experience. So we are focused on being, we are obsessed by being the best legal employer, and we are obsessed by enabling our customers to be the best functional employer, and essentially increasing their retention and their acquisition rates of employees. And that's how we think about it. We think about it as this is not a compliance and a payroll only solution. This is an employee retention platform.
Typically, what happens in emerging categories is that all the pieces up in the air. There's kind of a land grab. So all these different competitors are trying to carve out market size, grow, and become the biggest first. And typically, who gets the biggest first remains the category king for a long time, maybe decades. Is that race to become as big as possible, as fast as possible, something you guys actively think about?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we want to be a market share leader. So what does it mean? It means that if you look at the category, if you take a snapshot of the market in 3 years from now, let's say X years from now, where these companies have matured, I think 3 years is a long enough period in that context, then we should have the biggest market share. That biggest market share could be 30%, right? Or it could be 70%. Like, we don't know what the leader of the market share will be, but you want to position Oyster as a market share leader. Now, what does it mean? How do we measure our progress toward that? We measure our progress toward that if through our win rates. Are we winning more than our share of the market on competitive deals? And we also measure that on our awareness. Is our awareness been increasing in line with the expectation? And so these are the kind of two variables. Essentially, one variable is conversion, another variable is, so one is volume and one is essentially conversion rate, right? So how do you maximize your both of these variables? And we've been kind of smashing a lot of these numbers in the last few quarters.
And so, what are the strategic plays? Like, what are you betting on to win that war or competition here?
Well, the biggest bet we're making is to win the customer hearts and minds. So in a category that is so nascent, and it is less about feature by feature differentiation, because with enough money and enough capital, anybody can build any feature, right, in the future. But it's really about telling a story that connects deeply with the heart and minds of our buyer persona. And it's definitely backed by the best features and the most relevant features of the platform. But it's first and foremost is understanding why we're here and how do we help these customers, and being first and foremost a mission-driven company. We're a mission-driven company before being a software company, right? We're the only B Corp, benefit corporation in the pack. Goes a long way in enabling us to infuse our mission into how we run our business and how we create value for our customer and their employees. Just to give you an example, of what this generic sentence I just gave you means. So in our business, what we're doing is we're building an employment platform that enable us to personalize any variable in the employment experience. So let's take the example of an employment contract. An employment contract, say, has 10 different employment variables, from annual leave to termination policy to severance pay, and every country is different. So every one of these variables can be set to 0, what statutory minimum that guarantees compliance for the company, or they can be set to 1, which is the most favorable to the employee in that country, or they can be set somewhere in between. So what we do with that technology that enables us this hyper personalization of employment experiences, it enables us to infuse our mission into that. It enables us to help our customers treat their employee fairly, no matter where they are. Because the company can decide, I want to be at 80% percentile of the market in all of these clauses. Then automatically the platform enables them to generate that. Or they can say, well, I want to be the best in the market. I want to be what the best employer is offering in the market. The platform also enables them that. So, but by creating this platform, we call it the Employment Autopilot platform, because essentially what it does is it's like the car autopilot. It takes all these different variables from the environment. In our case, is employment compliance law, accounting rules in that country, HR business practices in that country, and then turn them into an employment experience that put the employee at the center of it. And this is what we mean by a mission-driven product.
You mentioned that you want to win the hearts and minds, and a lot of that is done through marketing and brand. So what are you guys doing in terms of marketing and brand building specifically to win the market?
Yeah, first we have to be credible. We have to be credible to talk to HR innovators, to talk to future of work innovators. So, and secondly, we have to amplify our credibility, right? But first we have to be credible, which means that we need ourselves to be the gold standard of distributed work, and we are becoming. Just to give you some data, we're getting 10,000 application a month in terms of our employee brand. We have 60% women in the company. I have gender equality on my leadership team. We have 95% engagement rate in the company. So all these data that our buyer persona cares deeply about, we are off chart. And our goal here is to prove to them that being distributed is not only better for business, but it's also better for people and better for the planet. And we take that, not only we take that narrative to the market, obviously we don't take it in a kind of direct way. It's more subtle. We essentially provide a lot of tools and content and events that enable us to help actually work with the HR community to create a better future of work that we believe is a distributed future of work.
So are you guys throwing a bunch of events, or what are the specific outlets of this?
Yeah, so definitely we had a number of events last year, and we're gonna do more this year around the future of work and around recruitment in emerging economies. These are the two events we've done last year. We're going to have a big present in less than 10 days at the HR Transform event, which is where HR innovators go in Las Vegas this year. And also through tons of thought leadership that is targeted towards helping these HR executives become better at being distributed. Actually, we have our Oyster Academy program, which is teaching HR professionals to deploy their remote work policies in their training in-house. But also we train the people. We train employees on becoming better remote workers. That's an open source, free content and training resource that we provide for our customers.
You guys raised around 50 million in Series B, only 4 months after raising your Series A, and meanwhile your company value grew 6 times. So what happened in that short time period to drive such fast growth?
Yeah, so the company growth is off chart. I mean, we have grown more than 20x last year. Went from 0 to double-digit ARR in less than 12 months. I mean, I know one company did that, which is Google. They went from 1 million to a double-digit ARR in their second year of operation. So we're definitely off chart for many VCs, and obviously you can understand why. I mean, the demand in this market is the world need this, right? So that we're fortunate to be in a position where the demand has been expanded massively in the last 2 years. So that's why we've seen. I mean, this category in general has been very attractive for investors, because if you're a VC, every one of your portfolio company is today struggling with hiring and or struggling with remote work practices. And that's like the recurrent topic on any board meeting of any tech company today. So that's why this category, one of the reasons why this category is exciting for investors, is that you're going to have a number of very large companies that's going to coexist in that market because of the vast market size and the various way you can slice and dice that market.
So your timing obviously was impeccable, and aided your growth, but still there were others who did not succeed as well when you did. So looking back, what are the things that you think you did really well as a company, where you out executed other players?
Yeah. Number one is the best team. So we've built we've built a Series F team for a Series B company. Okay, that's what we've done. Everybody on my exec team has been hiring through a thoughtful executive search process that took me more than 6 months to a year. And we've been very thoughtful about who we need to have around the table. And we needed people that are mission aligned, that have experienced hypergrowth, that are fit for purpose. I have my head of product was a lawyer before, and she worked at Carta, replacing lawyers with software. I have my general counsel. She worked at Trinet, taking employment compliance integrated through software. We have head of marketing from Buffer, who created its iconic remote work brand. I have Ellen, our president. She spent 10 years at Facebook scaling their operation team to 10,000 people. I have Mark, our chief workplace officer or chief people officer. He was at the Envision's chief people officer, which was a remote company before remote was a thing. So everybody is like really handpicked for the specific role they do. And that's number one. So the best team. Secondly is the best culture. As we discussed earlier, our numbers of culture are off chart in terms of our employee brand, in terms of our diversity data or engagement data. And why we're doing that? Because we want to be credible selling into HR innovators, and they care about these things. This is like Salesforce.com strategy. They had to be the best in B2B sales in order to be credible to sell you the best CRM software. This is the same as HubSpot. You had to be the best at inbound marketing in order to sell you the best inbound marketing platform. Well, Oyster is the best at being human-centric, mission-driven, diverse, and we're selling you a global employment platform. So best team and best culture. Secondly is best software, because in my previous business, my previous company, we built a global communication platform that did exactly the same for the telecom market, where we put an API in front of a globally fragmented and highly regulated market. And we grew that business from 0 to 100 million in the first 5 years, took it public mid 2016, and got acquired last year by Ericsson for $6.5 billion. So we know how to build software that can deliver hyperscale. And last but not least is the best operation. And because what we do is complex, right? We're taking global employment compliance, we're taking payroll payments, we're taking benefits in 180 countries. And that requires an elegant orchestration between an employment infrastructure in 180 countries, scalable software, but also knowledge and employment and compliance knowledge that has to integrate into the software. So that's why I'm focused on really building the best operation in that category. So best software, best operation, best team, best culture is what we've done and continue to do.